Good day, everyone, and welcome to another Valorize Tokenomics Academy class. And today we will be talking about non-fungible crypto assets. So we have several objectives we want to cover. First of all, we want to understand what a non-fungible token is. We want to be aware of the different ways to store the metadata of NFTs. We want to understand the differences between various NFT smart contract standards. We want to look at the different purposes of NFTs. And we want to be aware of key projects in the NFT space. So previously we discussed fungible crypto assets. So fungible means mutually interchangeable. So a $5 bill can be replaced by another $5 bill. And this brings to us the cryptocurrencies. Then on the other hand, we have non-fungible tokens, which are unique or not interchangeable. An example of that is a house, which is often considered non-fungible because of its unique location and it looks a unique way. Then we have non-fungible tokens, which is a unique crypto asset residing on a blockchain that represents ownership over the asset and its utilities. So before we make a deep dive into NFTs, I want to compare NFT-based ecosystems with fungible token-based ecosystems. So a fungible token-based ecosystem, its main incentive driver are, of course, the fungible tokens. Its evaluation is done through the market cap. Funds can be raised through initial token offering. Revenue can be generated by issuing and selling tokens, or maybe also put a tax on trading tokens. But if that is a viable way to generate revenue is a whole nother discussion. We can trade those fungible tokens on decentralized exchanges or centralized exchanges, and price manipulation happens, of course, in a fungible token-based ecosystem. Then if we look at the NFT-based ecosystem, of course, the main incentive driver are NFTs. Evaluation is done through the floor price. Funds can be raised through the initial mint, and the price of the mint determines how much funds will be raised. Revenue can be generated through royalties. Trading can be done on marketplaces, and of course, price manipulation can also occur, but that will be done slightly than in a fungible token-based ecosystem, and that is something we will discuss in another class. So what makes an NFT an NFT? Well, first of all, to encounter an NFT, you need to go to an NFT marketplace, and an NFT marketplace allows NFT project founders to display and sell their NFTs, and it provides a user-friendly experience to find and trade NFTs. So we have different marketplaces. We have OpenSea, Rarible, Mintable, Foundation, and Nifty Gateway. OpenSea is the most famous one, and it uses a Ethereum Polygon network. Rarible uses, besides Ethereum Polygon, also Tezos, Solana, and Flow, while Mintable, Foundations, and Nifty Gateway only use the Ethereum network. So I wanted to focus on the Azuki project for today, which has been created by Team Azuki, and it has a floor price of 6.87 Ether, which was several days ago. So once again, what makes an NFT an NFT? Well, you need a token ID and you need a token uniform resource identifier, which is a link to the metadata of that NFT. And then you need to store that metadata. And if you want to be as decentralized as possible, you, of course, need to have decentralized storage. So when I go to OpenSea, you can go to the details tab. You can find the contract address, the token ID, the token standard, the network or blockchain, and then the royalties, which are the creator earnings. So when I click on the contract address, you will be brought to etherscan.io, and you can then go to the contract, which is verified, and you can fill in the token ID to find the token URI. And when you query that, you get this link, which is on Piñata, and it has this this token ID at the end, and this is the NFT in question, and this is how it looks. Best offer is currently around 5.2 ETH, which is quite a lot. So more about metadata. Metadata is data about data, and it's often a JavaScript object notation file. And we found this link, and when we click on that, you will find the metadata, which consists of the name, which is Azuki number 191, the image, which is also on Piñata, and the attributes of that NFT, which can be type, hair, face, and others, depending on how the project founders made their NFTs or made the pictures of the NFTs. So storage on blockchain is expensive, so NFT metadata should be stored anywhere else, so not on the blockchain, and it's often stored in centralized service, which defeats the purpose of course, a decentralized world and using blockchain. So possible solutions for decentralized storage is the interplanetary file system, abbreviated as IPFS, Piñata, and Arweave. So I'm not going too much into this, but IPFS is a collection of nodes that have a list of pointers to documents, and there is not really, it's not permanent storage. It is public, and they will be stored for a while, and to make it permanent, you can use a pinning service, which makes sure that a set of nodes, so it's based on IPFS, so a set of IPFS nodes allow permanent caching of those nodes. And so they pin the documents on IPFS through this method. And IPFS is public, but Piñata can keep those files private. Then on the other hand, we have Arweave, and it's a block graph based file storage platform where you can put up your hard disk space and sell that, and it can then be used by others. And in return, you get Arweave tokens, and its Arweave platform allows for permanent storage of that data, of those documents. So we have three different NFT token standards: ERC 721, 721A, and 1155. And we have three criteria: versatility, batch transfers, and security. So ERC 721 and 21A can only mint or are mainly used for the mint of NFTs. You can change the code that allows you to create a different type of token, might be semi-fungible or even fungible, but you will need a new smart contract for each token type. So that is the case for 721 and 721A. Then if we look at the 1155, this allows the conversion between different token types. So you can have NFTs, semi-fungible tokens, and fungible tokens as well, depending on how you code it. And you only need a single smart contract that supports multiple token types. Then if we look at the batch transfer criteria, only 721A and 1155 allow for batch transfers. And if we look at security, 721 and 721A do not have any verification of transaction validity. So that means that you send it to an address that can allow the acceptance of that token. So for example, with 1155, it does enable verification of transaction validity. So if you send it, for example, to a contract address, then the transaction will be reverted, and it will not take place. So why would people buy NFTs. That can be for hype, as a return on or hope for a return on investment, to preserve value, store capital, and mainly for the utility the NFT provides. And I put that in bold because that's what we will be talking about today. So possible utilities of NFTs are governance, access, intangibles. Intangibles, and we'll go more into that, but actually its main purpose is to represent authenticity or ownership over a token ID, the URI, and the picture that comes along with it, and often its value is accrued from its utility. So with governance, if you have an NFT, you could vote for a certain proposal. Looking at access, if you have an NFT that allows access, you will have access to platforms, Discords, other communities, conferences, etc., etc. Then if we look at intangibles, you can have digital art, music, video games, and probably many other examples. And if we look at tangibles, you can have real life art, real life real estate, cars, and documents, and of course, some other financial instruments, as we will talk about that later on. So, Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is probably one of the most famous NFT projects, is one of the first blue chip NFT project. It has 10,000 unique but generative NFTs, and it is a multi-utility NFT, as you can use your Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT for governance, to access a Discord, to receive other NFTs such as the mutated Ape Yacht Club and its Ape coin when it was released. You can get access to parties, you get commercial rights to your own NFT, and you will get access to the other side, which is the game they will be releasing anytime soon. So focusing on an access only NFT, which is the VeeFriends NFT, and it's VeeCon. And each VeeFriend NFT gives you 3 years access to VeeCon. VeeCon is a multi-day event / conference exclusively for NFT holders, and those tickets will be airdropped to NFT holders. So this is how it looks like. I think the last VeeCon was in this stadium. You have several key players in the crypto world, and this is how that NFT looks like. It's so Gary Vaynerchuk, the one that organizes this and created also these NFTs. And regardless if you like them or not, he has raised a lot of funds through this utility. So then we focus on another intangible NFT, but then video games / digital real estate, and the Sandbox is a good example of that, as it is a community-driven multiplayer game containing NFTs and semi-fungible tokens. But of course, today we'll focus on NFTs. And it's play to earn, and it can be done through NFTs, so you can receive Sand, which is their token. So what you can do is you can buy land NFTs and trade them and rent it out, or rent it out. But you can also create and trade NFTs. So this can be art, avatars, or equipment. And this can all be done in the Sandbox game. And this is an example of a land NFT, which is the portion of the Sandbox metaverse. Then another example is, of course, music done by Steve Aoki. It's called the Dreamcatcher NFTs, where pieces of music were turned into video NFTs. So they make a certain movement, but you also have ownership over that video and the music that comes with that video. And those are sold for quite a bit. Then we have digital art, it's an intangible NFT. Every day between 2007 and 2020, people made a piece of art and turned it into an NFT called Every Day's the First 5,000 Days. And this is how that art looks like. And that was sold for 69 million on Christie's auction. Then we have intangible NFTs in the form of invoice NFTs. So, for example, you can have an invoice of a payment obligation, or that you lend money against those assets. And what you can do when you're a supplier of the ownership of whatever financial instrument, you will get a token. This, of course, takes place on the blockchain, and on the Anchor registry, this will be verified. Anchor registry holds the hash of the private data. So the private data that is part of that financial instrument, whatever it may be, cannot be found on Ethereum, but it can be found on the centrifuge peer-to-peer network, and that data is then private. So those invoice details can then be traded or transferred on the centrifuge peer-to-peer network, which then shows that the supplier is the document owner. But you cannot find that the supplier is the owner on the blockchain. So on-chain ownership, but off-chain peer-to-peer private document data exchange. Then we have some more tangible NFTs. For example, personal documents. NFTs can be used as proof of authenticity and prevent identity fraud, and that can happen if personal documents are turned into NFTs, such as passport, ID card, and driver's license. Then if we look at real-life real estate, we have mortgages, fractional ownership, and transferring ownership. And for all these three utilities, NFTs will have a significant impact. Then might be an interesting discussion. Do you want IRL versus URL art? So tangible versus intangible? Well, to find an answer to the question, Damien Hirst created this NFT collection called The Currency, which is 10,000 unique NFTs, each with corresponding physical works and of course also digital. And this was sold, and the NFT buyer could make a decision after a year whether they will keep the NFT, so the digital art, or the physical version, and with the other version destroyed once the decision is made. So that is a very interesting discussion, and looking forward to what kind of choices you would make. Let us know in the comments. So some key takeaways is that an NFT represents authenticity or ownership over token ID and its URI. Token URIs link to the metadata of the NFT containing information about the NFT. Decentralized metadata storage can be achieved through IPFS, Pinata, and Arweave. ERC 721, 21A, and 1155 are key NFT smart contract standards. People buy NFTs for the hype. They hope for a return on investment, or to preserve value by storing their capital, or for the utility it provides. So we have discussed several utilities. So NFTs can be used for governance. It can provide access to communities, events, platforms, etc. And it can represent ownership over intangibles and tangibles. Example of tangible objects, real-life real estate, cars, art, and personal documents. While for the intangibles, we have digital land, as we saw with Sandbox. We have music turned into NFTs by Steve Aoki. We have digital art by Beeple, and conferences like Gary Vaynerchuk has done through VeeCon. Thanks for tuning into the Tokenomics Academy of Valorize DAO. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more tokenomics content. And see you at the next one.